I stepped into the thumping chaos of Amber's birthday party. The air thick with the scent of spilled beer and too many bodies crammed into her tiny apartment. The bass pulsed through the floor, vibrating up my legs, and laughter ricocheted off the walls. It was loud, too loud maybe, but it was a party, so I brushed off the unease prickling at the back of my neck. Something felt off, like a shadow lurking just out of sight, but I told myself it was nothing. I'd had a long week, and Megan had been distant lately, sure, but that was just her way sometimes. I grabbed a drink from the kitchen counter, the plastic cup sticky with someone else's spilled vodka, and scanned the room for her familiar dark hair. That's when I saw her. Across the crowded living room, Megan was pressed up against some guy I didn't recognize. His hand rested low on her hip, his fingers curling possessively into the fabric of her dress, and she was laughing, head thrown back, that carefree laugh I hadn't heard in months. My stomach dropped, a cold, heavy weight settling in its place. I stood there, frozen, the cup trembling in my hand, as my brain scrambled to make sense of it. Maybe they were just friends. Maybe I was overreacting. But then he leaned in, his lips brushing her neck, and she didn't pull away. She tilted her head to give him more room. The room seemed to tilt, the noise fading into a dull roar as I pushed through the crowd. My heart hammered against my ribs, each beat a mix of dread and disbelief. When I reached them, I didn't think, I just acted. "Megan," I said, my voice sharper than I intended, cutting through the music. She turned, her eyes widening for a split second before narrowing into something colder, harder. The guy stepped back, smirking, his hands sliding into his pockets like he didn't have a care in the world. "What the hell is this?" I asked, my voice shaking now, loud enough that a few heads turned. She crossed her arms, her lips curling into a faint, dismissive sneer. "Oh, don't make a scene," she said, like I was the one being unreasonable. "It's just a party. Relax." Relax. The word hit me like a slap. I pointed at the guy, who was still standing there, watching us like we were some kind of entertainment. "Who is he?" I demanded. She rolled her eyes, and that's when the accusation started spilling out of me, years of frustration, of feeling like I was chasing her attention, boiling over. "How long has this been going on? How long have you been lying to me?" She didn't even flinch. "You're overreacting," she said, her tone flat, bored even. "You always do this." The guy chuckled, and that was it. I lunged forward, not to hit him, just to get in his face, but Megan grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "Stop it," she hissed. "You're embarrassing yourself. Not us. Not her. Me." I yanked my arm free, staring at her, searching for some flicker of guilt, some sign she cared. There was nothing. Just that cold, detached stare I'd seen too many times before. I stumbled out of the party, the cool night air hitting my face like a shock. My chest ached, a raw, jagged pain that made it hard to breathe. Humiliation burned through me. Everyone had seen it, hadn't they? The guy whose wife couldn't even pretend to be faithful. But worse than that was the confusion, the questions looping through my head. How long had I been blind to this? How many times had she laughed at me behind my back? Anger came next, hot and sharp, because she didn't even care. She'd stood there, unflinching, like I was nothing to her. The next few days were a blur. I replayed every moment of our marriage, every late night she'd brushed off, every excuse I'd swallowed because I wanted to believe her. It hit me slowly, painfully. She'd been manipulating me for years. The way she'd turn arguments around, make me feel like I was the one who'd failed her. The way she'd pull away whenever I needed her, leaving me scrambling to fix things. I'd been a ghost in my own life, orbiting around her, begging for scraps of affection she'd never intended to give. And now here she was texting me like nothing had happened, spinning some story about how I'd misunderstood, how I was the one pushing her away. Each message was a twist of the knife, her words dripping with that same calculated charm she'd used to keep me hooked. I couldn't do it anymore. I stopped replying, deleted her messages without reading them, and let the silence settle in. It wasn't easy. Every quiet moment felt like a void she'd left behind, but I knew it was over. There was no salvaging this, no fixing her. She didn't want to be fixed. She wanted control, and I'd given it to her for too long. One night, sitting alone in our half-empty apartment, I made the call. I found a lawyer the next day and filed for divorce. The paperwork felt heavy in my hands, but when I signed it, a weight lifted. Not all of it, but enough. For the first time in years, I felt like I was taking my life back. The months that followed were slow, messy. Some days I'd wake up and forget she was gone, reaching for her side of the bed before the ache set in. But little by little I started to heal. I picked up a guitar I hadn't touched since college, the strings rough against my fingers as I fumbled through old songs. I joined a hiking group, met people who didn't know me as Megan's husband, and laughed at their dumb jokes over campfire coffee. I wasn't whole yet, but I was getting there, piecing myself together one small step at a time. Then she came back. A text at first casual, like we were old friends catching up. "Hey, how've you been?" she wrote, as if she hadn't shattered me. I didn't respond. Then a call, her voice soft and pleading through the voicemail. "I miss you. Can we talk?" I listened to it once, then deleted it. I knew that tone. It was the same one she'd used to reel me back in after every fight, every cold shoulder. She didn't miss me. She missed having someone to manipulate, someone who'd bend over backwards for her. I wasn't that person anymore. Looking back, I started to see it all differently. The pain had cracked me open, but it also taught me things I'd never have learned otherwise. Love isn't a game of chasing someone who doesn't want to be caught. It's not about proving your worth to someone who'll never see it. I'd spent so long trying to be enough for her that I'd forgotten I deserved better. Someone who'd meet me halfway, who'd value me as much as I valued them. The relationship had been a slow poison, but surviving it made me stronger, sharper. I could spot the red flags now, the subtle ways she'd twisted things, and I'd never let myself fall into that trap again. One evening, months after the divorce was final, I sat on my balcony with a beer in hand, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The air was crisp, the sky streaked with gold and pink, and for the first time in a long time I felt free. Not just free of her, but free to be me, flawed, scarred, but whole. I didn't need her anymore, didn't need her approval or her games. I'd grown through the wreckage, and that was enough. Someday I'd find someone who saw me, really saw me, and until then I was okay on my own. The past was closed, a chapter I'd survived, and the future stretched out ahead, wide open and mine to claim.